Hello, my name is Sheila and I would like to welcome you to my podcast All About You. I love to listen to podcasts and especially conversations with famous people. However, I think everyone has a story to tell. Maybe a place you have visited, a hobby you enjoy, or anything that you feel would be of interest. I want to have conversations with lots of different people and hear their stories. So if you have a story to tell, please contact me on my email allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com. Welcome to the All About You podcast. When I thought about starting the podcast, I created a wish list of guests and topics. And today I am very happy to be ticking off one of those topics. I remember many years ago as a teenager working as a volunteer in a hospital and seeing the patients listening to and talking about the hospital radio station and the joy it gave them in often what could be a very difficult time. So in this podcast, I want to shine the light on the great work hospital radio volunteers to do. And my guest today is Paul Stanley from Birmingham Hospital Radio. So Paul, welcome to the All About You podcast.
Hi Sheila, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. So Paul, can you tell us, how did you first get involved with hospital radio? How did you even know it existed?
Well, I didn't really know it existed until my wife seen an advert for volunteer presenters. And she pointed it out to me. Radio has been something that I've always wanted to do, but never got into. And that goes back to when I was about 11 years old, listening to radio in my bedroom and recording shows, things like that. And just amazing, really, that I got into it through my wife.
So seeing an advert in the paper for volunteers to work on hospital radio, so what was the process then? You phoned them?
It was an email, sent an email to them. Within about five days, they got back to me asking me to come in. I sent them a lovely email about what I do, because previously I'd done DJing for parties, family parties and things like that. So maybe that helped me a little bit, actually being involved with music. And that carried on. Went into the studio, I had a meeting, like an interview, and I was really shocked at the time. Dave, technical controller of the station, he interviewed me. I didn't know him at all, and he took my voice recording. I was shocked at that because I thought we'd just have a little chat. So we went into the studio, recorded it, and he said, "We'll be in touch." And I said, "Okay." Within a couple of days, he was in touch, offering me to go in for a show and to shadow the former presenter that was leaving, and watch everything that he did, and go around the wards, which was amazing, a real eye-opener for me. Every week he met me, then we did the show together. I just sat there listening to him, how he presented it, the controls, everything like that. Eventually, it was time to go on my own.
And what was that like, your very first show without a safety net?
Very nervous, trying to sound relaxed, but it's you just imagine everybody listening to you. But as the time went on, it got better for me. I got more relaxed with it. And meeting the patients was the one for me, knowing that you're going to play their song and make them happy. So, it's just an amazing thing to do.
So let's just backtrack a minute. Okay, so you did DJing for family parties.
Yeah.
So how did all that start? Because to me, that seems the perfect training ground for doing the hospital radio. So how did you get into being the family DJ?
Well, I started when I was about 14, 15, helping the local DJ at a sports club that we was at. I was so interested in it, and I used to go up, spend about an hour, 2 hours with him, and then go home, because I was quite younger than, I wasn't out at all. And then when I was about 17, I started to get my own equipment together with the help of my mum and dad. I've been very lucky with that, obviously. And they set me up. And eventually I went on my own doing that. I've done weddings, birthdays, everything like that. And it's just been amazing up until the pandemic. That's when I stopped DJing, obviously. But in between that, I was doing the radio like later on, because I've been in radio for about 3 years now, doing hospital radio.
So you've got a full-time job as well, have you?
Yeah, yeah. It's that was more part-time doing the DJing. My full-time job is gardener.
Okay, so you've got a gardening job, doing the DJ, plus doing the volunteer radio.
Yeah.
Well, you're certainly not one for sitting on the sofa watching Netflix, are you?
No.
So the DJing then was a perfect training ground for the hospital radio.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I ask, Paul, you were obviously DJing back in the day when it was actual records on a turntable?
Yeah.
Not everything just plumbed into a MacBook like it is these days.
No.
Proper DJing.
Yeah. Cue up the record.
And were you one of these DJs that nobody could ever understand what they were saying?
Well, it's a funny thing because I never used to talk. I was quite shy back then. I used to really struggle talking. I used to say hello and announcements and things, but never had the real chitter chatter at the start when I was younger.
I can't believe that.
But now it's come out. But it's very. It was very strange. I couldn't do it. I don't know. I was scared, I suppose.
Because I think it can be quite intimidating. If you've got a room full of 200 people at a wedding or something, and it's often the DJ who's got to get everybody up, prise them away from their G&T and their chair and get them on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And you've got a wide range of people normally at a wedding particularly, so it's sort of getting the floor fillers.
Yeah. I always aim for the women, to get the women up dancing, because then the men will follow later. That's my...
Absolutely, that's a very good tactic. Get the girls dancing around their handbag, as we did back in the day. See, there's a lot of psychology involved with being a DJ then. Get the ladies on the dance floor. They're quite happy to dance in a group, and then you say, then the men will follow. When they've had a few beers and a bit of Dutch courage, they'll follow the ladies.
Yeah.
So that was obviously a great training ground. If you can corral a wedding and get everyone on the dance floor, you can probably conquer Everest, I think.
Yeah.
So you then had your tryout for the hospital radio, and you had the interview, and they did the voice check and everything. You shadowed the DJ who was leaving, and then you were left to your own devices. Yeah. Tell us more about that.
Well, what can I say? I had to go around the wards on my own, collecting the requests, speaking to the patients, speaking to the nurses. And it was the same hospital every week that I visited. So you get to know the nurses on the shift, and you get to know people more. So it was a lovely atmosphere going into the wards. Something that I have moved on from the requests, as in going to the wards, because I do my own show now. It's 2 hours. I do like to cover full request shows because they're at the heart of the hospital radio. Those patients are your listeners. They're listening to you. So it's so important that you listen. You listen to them when they're talking. And I can spend half an hour with one patient sometimes talking to them, which is because some of them might not even have a friend. They might not have anybody. And you might be their only friend, and you're talking to them and talking about music. And, it's just a lovely, lovely thing. And you go to the wards, you get the requests, you write down their name and a little bit about them if they want to talk about themselves. You go home, you have a little book, and you write down everything that they've said to you, and you reorder it all for your show, because it was an hour show, which is a lot when you start, because that hour does go by quickly, but it's kind of enough to 2 hours at the time. I don't think I could have done it. Now I can. It's very good. It's good. I love it. I love doing it.
Music can be so emotional. It can remind you of times in your life, places, occasions. So if someone is in hospital and maybe quite poorly, for them to have music played that is special to them with a dedication, or they're dedicating it to some of their friends and family, etc. I mean, that must be such an injection of something wonderful for them when they're maybe not feeling their best.
Yeah, it is. Makes me happy. I mean, I've never said this, but I've left the ward sometimes very emotional with the stories that you hear, because everybody's got a different life and, gone through different things. So it's really important to listen to the patients. So important.
One of the questions I was going to ask you is, what do you get out of it personally? I mean, I can see just from the small chat we've had already, you are just so enthusiastic about it. You just love it. I can tell that. But what difference has it made to you as a person and in your life?
It's made me realise I am really a community person. I'm a people person, definitely. I mean, perhaps I was before, but I never really knew it. And doing hospital radio has really brought that out to me as a person. I do hope that I am bringing joy to that person on the ward, or the nurse that's worked a really hard shift, because we take requests from them as well. To have us on listening, it's amazing. It really is.
Oh, that's really lovely. So, Paul, how does it work with the music? I mean, back in the day of DJing at the weddings, you were putting on the vinyl. Obviously, that's all moved on a bit. So how do you deal with the music in the studio now?
Well, we still have vinyl. We have a turntable where you can still play the record if you want to. We have a massive backlog of records, massive, huge library. For the new presenters and mainly a lot of people now, it's either CD still or the music is in the system called Myriad, and we put it on there. I don't know, millions of songs on there, and you just type it in a search engine, and it'll come up all the songs or all the artists that you want. If you want Elvis, all the Elvis songs come up, and you just drag and drop basically and get ready to play it.
So you're creating sort of a playlist for the show from all the requests that you've had.
Yeah.
Then between the songs, you're doing the dedications and the introduction and talking about the patient.
Yeah, we have to do the news as well on the hour. You have to time it. You have to work it out, because you have to get all those songs in that hour. And you've also, you've got your jingles to play, and your sponsorship jingles to play as well, because sometimes the shows get sponsored. So you have to make sure you play those at the right time. And it's very timed. You have to make it sound, hopefully it does come out across relaxed and joyous to the listener.
Oh, so there's quite a few moving parts then that you need to control with jingles and the news and time checks, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I was having a little route around the website for Birmingham Hospital Radio, and I found a little story about a lady called Mary Sandal. So can you tell us the story?
Well, I met Mary a few years ago because she can't come out of a house. She's in her bed now as she's got older. Mary's been involved with BHBN radio for many, many years, and she's done her own shows on there as well. She'd also been on the Jonathan Ross show, which was quite amazing, as the eldest DJ in the UK.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Yeah, she featured on there. So that's quite amazing for the station as well, to get a bit of a profile of BHBN. But yeah, so But Mary's a lovely person. I have her on my show now on a Friday morning, and she picks two of her favourite songs, and they can be anything from her, her life. She just picks two random ones, and I have a chat with her live on air, and we play the song, which is a lovely, lovely thing. We phone her, and I have a chat off air, and then we go live on air. And that's still quite nice to do because she's, she's at home, she has carers in, and it's lovely. She's a lovely lady as well.
Wow, so she's still involved, has a regular morning slot on a Fridays on your show.
Yes, yeah.
So the other thing I discovered on the website is internet radios for care homes.
What we've done is, as a station, we're reaching out into. We had a rebrand last year during the pandemic. We're called BHBN Radio now. We were called BHBN Hospital Radio, but we've still got hospital radio in the BHBN. So we thought BHBN Radio, and we've gone for more trying to reach out to the community. And one of the things that we have come up with is offering a free internet radio to the care home for the elderly, for the residents to listen to our shows. And what we're trying to do now is get the requests from the residents. So we do sort of like what we do at the hospitals, but we're going to do it for the care homes. And it's going really well at the moment. We're doing really well with it.
It's such a brilliant idea.
It's really good. They don't have to have the radio because they can listen on their smart speaker, because you can get us on there. So if they've got that, they can still listen to it and still make their requests, which is going pretty well. Yeah, it's good.
Radio in the hospital is such an important thing for older people. I mean, I guess younger people that go into hospital, they've got their phones and they've downloaded everything if they know they're going to be in for a couple of days. For older people, that's a bit different. They're maybe not into the technology as such. But to have the hospital radio, somebody coming round, talking to them and getting the requests, listening to the requests going out, I think that is just fantastic.
Yeah, and we do get younger people as well. I don't know if it's a surprise, but a lot of them like to have their name read out, and you chat to them off air, and you get the full story. Some of the things we don't actually put on live on the radio, you just say that they're poorly or something like that. But to have a nice little conversation, but you're watching your song going down, and you're thinking, oh, we're in the conversation with it. But you put their song on, and sometimes they phone back and say thank you very much. It's lovely environment to be in.
So how many volunteers do you have at Birmingham Hospital Radio? More or less?
More. And there is a waiting list for what want to be presenters to come onto the station itself as well. People are really getting into it more now, I think. So especially during the pandemic, radio has really, I think, helped people more. It's really come to the forefront.
In the pandemic, obviously, we were all, captive at home for a long period of time. Here in Valencia, it was 12 weeks for us. You did spend a lot more time listening to radio programs or podcasts because you didn't want to sit in front of the TV morning, noon and night. So whereas you may not have listened to the radio as much, I think we did that so that we could still do other things and keep ourselves sort of entertained. So from the pandemic then, you're getting more and more people who want to volunteer for hospital radio. That's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. But obviously, we can only have so many people at the moment in the studio. Well, we can only have one person at a time because of COVID. And we have automation, which we play music 1-2 hours. We have to be really strict cleaning the studio as well. There are rules. We all know how to do that. Cleaning handles, everything like that. Anything you've touched, you've got to clean it down afterwards. So we can't have many more than one, possibly two. It's touching, but one presenter at a time.
But you managed to keep going all the way through the pandemic with the hospital radio?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it was more important than ever, I'm sure, during that time.
Definitely. Because we all got a bit scared at the beginning, as in going into the hospital, obviously worrying about people, extra people going in. We shouldn't be going in. So we stayed away, but we did our shows from home. Some presenters are still presenting from home, and they're quite happy to do that. And they're brilliant shows, and the quality is so good, really good. It is difficult to do it I found it difficult to do it from home. I did it for a couple of months, one show a week, 2 hours, recording from my bedroom. I just changed everything around, and I had the equipment, luckily, as well to do it, which was great. As time's gone on, I've gone back live. Other presenters have gone back live. We've been very lucky to get our jabs as well. So to go, and it's made, I don't know, it's helped. It's really helped.
So you must have met some real characters that when you've gone round and been talking to people. So we won't mention any names, but what about some of these characters?
Oh, yeah. Some of them, they tell you jokes and things, and they play you up. They do play you up. Some of them do.
Well, there's nothing to do but hopefully recover and enjoy being looked after in hospital. So for someone to come round and have a chat, yes, they're definitely up for that.
Yeah, and some of them, they want to give you about 3 or 4 requests. They go, oh, can you play this thing? Can you play that? Can you play this? And you're like, I can only get about 10 songs in the show.
And each song is accompanied by a story.
Yeah, you write a little bit about them. We don't mention second names on the radio. This is a security thing. They know, because I tell them a time normally. I say, well, your song will be about 7:10 in the evening. We'll play it then. Okay. I said, I'll be listening. Or sure, they say, I'll be listening. Yeah, and sometimes you go back to the ward again the next week, and the same person is still there. And they said, oh, I listened to my request. Thanks very much. And
it must be so lovely when you see them and the request has gone out on the show. I mean, that.
Yeah, but sometimes you go back and it's a different person, and you're like, oh, hope that person's all right now. But, it's good fun. It really is.
Hospital radio, I guess, unless you are in hospital, staying in hospital, a lot of people are probably not aware of it. I remember when I was a volunteer at the hospital, I didn't know anything about hospital radio, and the patients were talking to me, and I just thought, my God, what an amazing thing to do.
Yeah.
And I put it on my wish list and put a message out on Facebook, and your little smiley face came up, and I thought, oh, he looks like the one, he's the one.
Oh, that's funny. But,
so, Paul, if we put the boot on the other foot now, if I gave you 3 requests, okay, so if you had to think of 3 songs you would like to have played, and I want the story that goes with each of those songs.
Right.
Okay, and I'm not going to give you too long to think about it either. Okay, no pressure.
Are you choosing the songs?
Yes.
Okay.
So what's your first song that you would like to have played? Yes, your first request. What song would you like to have played and why?
The first song, Keen, Where Only We Know. That's one of my wife's wedding song.
Oh.
Whatever radio station, if it ever comes on, we go, oh, because it takes you back to that day. My second song will probably be Stereophonics, because they're my favourite band.
Okay.
I've seen them many times, just because I love Kelly Jones, I love his songs. And the third.
Hang on, but what song from Stereophonics?
Oh, probably Just Looking. Just Looking. It's called.
Oh, that's the name of the song?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were looking at the screen.
Stereophonics, Just Looking.
You can see you're a radio DJ and I'm not.
Because that was the first time I seen them.
And I'm certainly not going to edit this out because I think it's
Me too.
I was just waiting patiently while you were looking on your screen.
Yeah.
Right, come on, pull it together. What's your third song?
My third song. Oh, Pet Shop Boys.
Oh, love the Pet Shop Boys. Which song?
Always on my mind.
Oh, yes, yes. So you're spanning quite a wide genre of music there, shall we say?
Yeah. I mean, my favourite is genre is 80s.
Right, yeah, me too.
80s music.
Yeah, disco, yeah, love it.
Which on my show, I do an hour of 80s every Sunday night because I just love that. I love that era. It's where I grew. It's how I grew up with listening to 80s music, late 70s, 80s, and I just love it.
Well, that's it. The thing is with music from the era you were growing up, you can pinpoint your friends, where you live, what you were doing at school, that type of things.
Yeah.
So, Paul, if you could have any guest on your radio show, who would you have and why?
Oh, it'd be Kylie.
Oh, Kylie Minogue.
Yeah.
I knew we were going to get on well. I knew we would get on well. Kylie, she is just a goddess, isn't she?
Yeah.
Love the Kylie music. So have you seen Kylie in concert?
Yeah, a couple of times I've seen her.
A couple of times. Which concerts did you go to? Did you see the Showgirl tour?
No, it was the Can't Get You Out of My Head. It was that tour when she came back. And I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, right. I must admit, I've got all the DVDs, and that's not very good. I can't think which one it was.
Recently, I seen her at Hyde Park. Amazing. And Jason Donovan came on, so that was quite good.
Ah, well, they had a bit of a thing, didn't they? While they were filming Neighbours, they were actually an item.
Yeah.
But I don't think it ended that well, did it? I don't think they... maybe they still exchange Christmas cards, but I don't think they're that friendly. So, what do you think about Kylie? Do you think she's going to get married to the to Paul? Is he the editor of GQ magazine, or are they already married? I think they're already married.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Secret wedding.
I think they would have done it in secret. But Kylie completed her last album, Disco, in her flat. And basically the producers were, I assume she ordered all the gear and they were showing her or telling her over the phone how to set it all up. And she said, I was there, with a duvet over my head in a cupboard. And that's how she finished her album.
Amazing.
Kylie Minogue. So, okay, imagine Kylie's in the studio with you. What are you going to ask Kylie?
Off the cuff, probably. I'd have to ask her how it all started for her. Talk about her acting days when she was younger, and then obviously moving on through her career. I'd actually like to know if I Should Be So Lucky was recorded while she waited outside the studio the day she turned up. Did you hear that story?
I heard the story because she went to see, was it Pete Waterman?
Yeah.
And he kept sort of passing her off. No, I'll see her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear that story. And then, as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah. Oh.
Wow, so Kylie Minogue. Okay, so what questions should I have asked you about hospital radio and being a volunteer, the patients, how it all works? What things should I have asked you?
I think you've asked quite some really good questions, to be fair.
Oh, thank you.
Really good and covering it. I don't know. You've really stumped me. I think we're good with the questions.
Would you encourage other people to get involved in hospital radio?
Most definitely. I mean, although I present on there, I am in the background promoting the magazines that we publish, getting them around. for the charity itself. I like to do all the background stuff as well as present. So I think that helps me, and that's been an eye opener doing that. And I love the responsibility of doing it as well. It really helps me.
So there are lots of things people can do in respect of a volunteer for their local hospital. So if they just get in touch and say, because often we hear about maybe there's a library service in a hospital, or you help run the shop, or maybe visit patients. But I think, as you say, if there's a radio station, there's obviously a lot of background work as well.
There's a lot of work behind the scenes. And we do, before the pandemic, we did Birmingham Fun Run, and we're involved in that. And we have a big bus, we're on there, and we're cheering on all the runners for the day, playing songs for them, and requests, and going to interview the families of the runners as well, and the runners themselves. Wow. That's really good. So that's a big day.
So you're really out and about in the community, representing the hospital, doing behind the scenes. You've got your radio show, visiting the patients, working involved with the care homes. You're very busy, Paul, aren't you?
Very busy. Yeah. It's great.
Well, it's been so interesting talking to somebody who is one of the heroes of hospital radio and the volunteers, because it is so important for people in hospital. Music can lift your spirits no end, and putting those two things together, and it's run by volunteers, I think is just incredible.
Oh.
So give your halo a little rub. Definitely. That's it. Exactly. Well, Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and it's been lovely hearing about how hospital radio works, some of the stories of the people you've met, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. Take care.
And you.
I hope you have enjoyed the conversation. Don't forget, if you have a story you would like to tell, please get in touch. My email address is allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com, and thank you for listening.